What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Knuckles YouTube channel. So today's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be kind of following what we're doing this week, where we look at different archetypes that we can play going into EUIC. Today is like so open and so vague that I couldn't find just like one person to do a video with me on this one. And this is talking about Lost Zone. Lost Zone's a very interesting spot right now because there's like so many different variants that you could be playing going to EUIC. And I'd rather just like talk about the different things you could play going to EUIC and stuff that you could see and stuff that I think could be good going to EUIC. So we have, when you look at this website, you have, 3 different variants of Lost Zone that's pretty much near the top. You have the Lost Zone box, Giratina Lost box, and Gudra Lost box in itself. And that should be the big 3 that we see. Make sure we're not missing any. Yeah, that's the big 3. So let's go ahead and start at the bottom. And Lost Box Charizard. So that's 4 of them. Yeah, Lost Box Gudra, Lost Box Charizard, Giratina Lost Box, and Lost Zone Box. So that's cool that Charizard is by itself. So 4 different variants of Lost Zone that you could see going into the weekend. And like I said, let's start at the bottom. And I think the interesting thing to note is when you hit by win percentage, actually Gudra Lost Box, even though it has the lowest play count, it actually has the highest percentage of winning. And you start looking at the list, and you see there's Regular Guy, Mysterious Player, Orc Child, Zaxi, went 14-3, so let's look at that one. Went 14-3, and second place as well in the same tournament was by Mysterious Player. So let's look at this list real quick and see what's it about. Let's open the image, and you're going to see it's pretty much like the Lost Box decks we've seen. It did lose Scoop Up Net, but instead of Choice Belt, we have gained Defiance Ban. And it makes where you attack your Pokemon do 30 more damage if you're behind on prize cards. Now, most of the time with the Gudra variant, you are going to be behind on prize cards. So that's very interesting thing to note. We do see the Melanie build, and that's because it did win a regionals with the Melanie. So we're going to see Melanie start popping up in these Gudra's lists. And of course, Beach Court, going to get that free retreat for a beach. Each base Pokemon have 1 less retreat cost, but everybody in this deck has a 1 retreat except for Gudra. It has a 3 retreat cost, and we still see a 6-5 because you're no longer playing Capture Energies. Captures have rotated. Of 3 Nest Ball, 2 Ultra Ball. Wow, only 3 Nest. Oh, we did put the 4 VIP Pass, of course. So VIP Pass, find your turn 1s, Nest Ball for more, and Ultra Ball to find your evolutions. Got the JP on there, so you can beat out the Mew. And let's look at the matches for Regular Guy. Did lose to Lugia Archeops. It's probably still a hard matchup, for sure. Let's see. Lost Zone. I feel like you should maybe have the advantage because they can't do as much, but they have Sableye and stuff like that. They did beat Lugia twice. That's pretty cool. The thing about Lugia now is they can't one-shot you like they used to be, so that's very nice. RC's Giratina, they can maybe get off the 1 attack to RC's Giratina is never going to get that knockout, right? RC's Giratina is, they're never going to get the 10 in the Lost Zone to activate Giratina's ability. Mew's not doing enough damage. And RC Duralons, they could do enough damage. It is a weird matchup for sure. But yeah, you can see why this player did very well. Let's look at Mysterious Player. Let's go to their deck list first. Let's open as an image. And you're going to see it's pretty kind of similar. We do see the Choice Belt. We do see Energy Cycle in this list. Still playing the Melanie with the Poke Gear for VIP Pass, Mirage Gate, 6-5 split. Heavy Ball to find your Pokemon, and of course, I didn't talk about this. Radiant Greninja is our Radiant Pokemon. But look at the deck list, or matches again, and we see, okay, we beat Gudra, we beat Lugia, beat Zoroark, beat Urshifu, Italion, beat that, tied to Lugia, unfortunately. Maybe that was intentional, maybe it was not, maybe they're friends. And lost to Lost Box, and its other loss was to the Mirror. And that's very interesting to note. It lost to Lost, but only loss was to Lost Box. Imagine these were digital ties on purpose. Then it beat Sableye, beat Lost Zone Charizard, which is very, very cool. And let's see if we can look at, is there anything special with the third list? Is there anything crazy going with this one? This one is from, let's go to the 5th one. Let's go to the 4th one, So let's look at the deck list real quick. Open as an image. Let's see if anything changes. No, this was a Zach replica of the 2nd place list that we just talked about. So we're not going to look at that too much. We can look at the matches. Once again, tying just Meloetta and Lugia probably on purpose, but destroying the competition. And I do think Lugia is in a very good spot going into EUIC. I think it's probably the one of It's hard to say. I would definitely play this kind of build. This, once again, is just the same kind of list we just saw. Nothing too interesting there. I'm trying to see if there's any other lists that we could see that came after that. There's one that came in April 9th. Let's see what this list looks like. And it looks pretty much the same, right? It looks pretty much the same. It's weird that we already centralized around the list. That's pretty much the same. Nothing too spicy there. 6-5. Andrew Cycler. I think it does play like a 4th switching card, but like one less Mirage Gate is what I think this one is. But yeah, it's pretty much all this. Like we're getting to like where it's pretty much same. The cool thing about Gudra is it didn't lose a lot going into rotation, right? It just lost like Scoop of Net, and that's pretty much it. So that's really, really cool. So that is Lost Box Gudra. Look at the big matchups, right? Lost on Box, I think you're fine. They'll do a lot of damage to you. You have to do also Stabilize, but then you can heal and stuff like that. Look at Arc-Ups. They're not going to one-shot you, right? They're not going to one-shot you. So that's nice. They're not fast either, so that's really cool. Miraidon, Regilucky. This one could be scary. If they do get set up pretty quickly, they could take knockouts. Gardevoir. They do have the unlimited damage, quote unquote, but even then, with the reduction, they can't one-shot you, and they do damage to themselves. And it's kind of like, you know, swinging like slower decks fighting each other. But I think you probably have the advantage. Giratina and Lost Box is probably your worst matchup, just because they have like the regular Lost on attackers, right? They can knock out Comfies and stuff like that. They might play the Greninja. We'll talk about that here in a second. And also, what we could do here, we can go to this, and if you're ever curious, you can hit matchups. And you can see you beat Lost Bomb 61% times. You beat this. What's your worst matchup? Okay, we're not talking about the zeros that they played one time. Like Mew Genesect, you're at 40%, and I guess because Mew can hit through it. Gardevoir Mewtwo is actually a 44%. And then Giratina Lost on Box is pretty big. Arceus Giratina, you're actually at a 44 win percentage. Not as high as I thought it was. But after that, you can kind of see it does really swing into your favor with the big ones, right? Meridian, Lugia, Lost on Box, Gardevoir. There's actually 2 different Gardevoirs. Gardevoir Mewtwo, and then Gardevoir. But still, you're doing pretty good. You're doing pretty good. I think Gudra's going to play. A lot of decks can't one-shot you anymore. And I think that's what makes it so strong. So next up, we got Gudra Lost Box. Like I said, sitting at 54%. Lost Box Charizard sitting at 52%. Now, this one comes down to like kind of interesting because when you start looking at these Lost Box decks, right? This one's really interesting because it does play the Miltank, right? But plays Hawlucha. Hawlucha is a very good new attacker in these builds, or not an attacker, but a new supporter Pokemon. You could put it on your bench, choose 2 bench Pokemon, and put 1 damage counter to each of them. It's kind of like the Zagoon that you kind of use in place now. It does play the Charizard. It does 250, and what you kind of do is you like take some early swings with Cramorant, then Sableye comes in there, and you can start sprinkling some damage counters on it. Then you send a Radiant Charizard, and you start taking some knockouts, and you're good to go. You have the Claire to get back your Charizard plus Fire Energies and whatever you need to. But the problem with this deck, I think it's really strong. First of all, you have this Radiant Charizard that's like it's just like so explosive, does so much damage, right? And that's really cool to see. The problem with this, you don't have the Greninja, so you can't like draw extra cards. Like the supporter card you play that turn, that's it. You don't get it, and you don't get that much draw after it. You do have the Comfy, which is great. You do have the 4 switch, 4 escape rope. You're just like trying to maximize your Comfy. You're trying to get 3 Comfy turn 1, switch between them, 4 VIP battles to find your basic Pokemon. Cross Switcher is a very good inclusion. Once again, you get switch. Oh, you play 4 card, 4 escape rope, 3 switch, and 4 VIP. Oh my goodness, that's 4, 8, 19, 11, 12. That's 13 ounce to switching, which is crazy. So you're trying to get that turn 1, or not turn 1, but like pretty quickly get 10 cards in the Lost Zone. You do have 4 Pokestops, and the reason you have 4 Pokestops is because like the majority of your cards are item cards. Pokemon Go Pokestop. Flip over top 3 cards. Discard them all. If they're training cards, they go back into your hand instead. Or item cards. No training cards, item cards. But item cards go back in your hand. If you notice, there's a bunch of item cards here. So you can Pokestop, draw through the deck really fast. You're trying to reuse the Radiant Charizard over and over again with that Claire. Claire gets 2 Pokemon opportunities back into your hand. They take a knockout Charizard, declare the Charizard and Fire Energy back in your hand. You just keep the party going. And it's a really good deck. Like, you're trying to Colors real quick, get 10 Lost Zone, go crazy with Sableye. And there's not even Mirage Gate in here. That's a big thing. There's no Mirage in this deck. So The Charizard is really just relying on your opponent taking a bunch of prize cards. Once they take 4, Combustion Blast is online, and you're just like swinging, doing a ton of damage. So that's pretty cool. Miltank Protect, and only 1 Manaphy. But you do have the 3 Clara, but 1 Manaphy and 3 Lost Vacuum. So like your Pokestop, Lost Vacuum, and Pokestop, you're just trying to draw through the deck. Let's look at this list. Did it win? It got second out of 179 people. Let's look at this matchup. So it did lose to Lost Zone Sableye. It lost to Giratina, but it did beat Gudra. So it beat Gardevoir, beat Gudra. Interesting. Lost to Giratina. That's really interesting. Beat Miraidon, beat the Mirror, tied Sableye version, and that's pretty interesting. Let's go to the list that won. There was a list that won on March 31st. Now this, the most recent one is this April 6th. Well, actually April 9th there was one. Let's go to the April 9th list and see what really changes. Anything crazy in here? So this one plays a Drapion for that Mew. It does play Hisuian Heavy Ball, and it does play the one of Mirage Gate. Now the Mirage Gate is kind of interesting because you can like get those energies on a Radiant Charizard to get the Combustion Blast. And I do like the Magma Base in here. Magma Base makes it where you're allowed to discard a Fire Energy, and then get it back with Magma Base onto that Radiant Charizard, and then you can attach an energy. And so they're taking 3 prize cards. You actually can swing earlier, which is pretty neat. Drapion, of course, is for that Mew matchup. What's Kale playing a ton of switching cards, right? 4-4. Ooh, actually no switch in this list. We opted to play no switch, but still 8, 9, 10 switching options in this list. It does play 2 Roxanne, so this one's pretty interesting. You could do like the whole Roxanne plus Radiant Charizard swing. The only problem is Radiant Charizard can't attack again. So that's a big thing to note there. Let's look at the most dates. Yes, we looked at this one here. Is there one that got like first? Yeah, there's one that got first out of 36. This is March 31st, so we're a little bit behind, a little back here. Did play Delphox and Zapdos. This is a wild list. And this is an interesting thing about Lost Boxes. You don't really know what you're going to get, right? And I think that's a pretty cool thing to see just right there. Like, you don't know what your opponent can play. This one plays a Drapion, plays a Magma Base, and plays the Beach Core still. 4-4, 2 switch this time, so we have 12 outs to switch. But once again, the same concept kind of exists over and over again. You're trying to get a bunch of cards in Lost Zone very, very quickly. This one doesn't play Lost Vacuum like the other one did. I think Lost Vacuum could be really cute in the list for sure. And about 1/3 out of 119, only 4-0. What happened there? 4-0, and then they had a quit or something? I'm not sure. So yeah, I mean, Radiant Charizard are pretty cool. You have all these different, you have this Radiant Charizard that can just come up. You just recycle it over and over, give it clear. You try to get in there very, very quick. And I think the one that had the most hype coming into the new format was the Giratina Lost Zone box. We can try to look at placement. It looks like 5th out of 453. That is a lot of people, first of all. But look at the Lost Zone Giratina, and you're just trying to get that good old Lost Impact. It pretty much knocks out everybody in the game. Does this one play choice? It does not. So you have to sprinkle some damage to Sableye. The Giratina comes up and swings. And then also the V-Star that says, hey, I knock you out. There's 10 more cards in the Lost Zone. So a very, very strong deck. You have this really good attacker that does 280 damage. The problem is you do have to put 2 energies in your Lost Zone. So that is a little unfortunate. But you have the Mirage Gates in here. Playing 4 of those. You have the Sableye combination of Giratina. Picks up those knockouts. Plus Kramer can come in there and swing. The cool thing about this deck is you do play the water energies, and that is for the Gurren Ninja. So you could like Moonlight Shuriken into like Giratina V-Star and just like start taking a huge knockout. So it's pretty cool. Like I said, the deck hasn't been performing that well in the online series, but I imagine going into EUIC is going to be heavily played. Beach Core to give it free treats. You got the Clarity, you recycle Pokemon, Boss Orders, very Pokemon Bitch Deactive. You got the 4-4 split on the energies. For a V Pass, the only problem with this deck is you don't have a way to search out the Giratina V-Stars. You are kind of just like drawing into them just like manually because there's no Ultra Balls in these lists. I'm pretty sure most of these don't play Ultra Ball. Let's look at the one that got second out of 155 the other night. And I imagine it's going to look kind of similar. It does play Path to the Peak over another beach court, and Path to the Peak could be interesting, right? Could be interesting. But once again, playing the Drapion plus Giratina V-Star, kind of just like wins your Mew matchup, because you just Drapion their Mew, or you just Giratina the Star Requiem for knockout, which is pretty neat. I do like that a lot. It seems like your Mew matchup is locked up online. We didn't look at this, but let's look at matches. It lost to the Mirror and lost to Mewtwo Gardevoir, okay? And that kind of makes sense. You're not a really fast tempo deck, but it did beat one in the first round, so who knows how that went. That is only a best of one then. Let's look at this, the other list we saw a second ago, see what it played against. So it lost to Urshifu. Makes sense. Urshifu is just like pinging your attackers, stuff like that. And then it lost to Lugia Archeops, which, it kind of makes sense, right? Lugia has all these different answers, but it did beat 3 of them. So, don't get it twisted. The only difference is, this is best of 1, and this is best 2 out of 3. That's how it plays out. Let me see this real quick. We can see right here. Yeah, Swiss, and then best of 3. So, and untimed. So you're allowed to take your time and figure out what you want to do there. So that's a big thing there. That might be the difference. Look at the third place out of 179. Let's see if there's anything else that we're missing from the list that we haven't seen just yet. This will play to Thornton. Oh my gosh. Thornton is spicy. I love a good Thornton and Giratina decks. Thornton into the Giratina V, into V-Star out of nowhere, is so strong. It is interesting that we're playing a 1-1-1 and 1 V-Guard energy. Maybe for the Mirror. Maybe for the Mirror. That's the only thing I can really think of. Maybe Arceus Giratina. You're trying to go about it that way. But once again, Giratina V-Star just doing 280. Star Requiem just takes a knockout. Same like I pick up the leftover knockouts that's there. 4-4-4. So 4-4, that's a lot of energies. That's a lot. And one here is pretty. It's a lot. Once again, no Ultra Ball. And I think that's what I said earlier. There's no Ultra Ball. Let's look at the matches once again. Lost to the Lost Zone box. Proving hey, a Lost Zone box might be the answer. Might be the best one. Let's look at one last one. Is there one that we can see that was just recently happened? April 9th. Did we already look at this one? I don't think so. Let's look at it. Let's look at this one. This one plays a Hawlucha, which is pretty cool. It could help get some numbers. Maybe 2. I don't think 290 actually does anything. Never mind. I'm just kidding. But maybe there's some numbers with Cram. Cram does 110 plus Hawlucha could do something. Plus Sableye. Hawlucha plus Sableye could maybe pick up a knockout or something like that. Something cool. 4-4-3. Only 2 beach court in this one. So you kind of see how the decks kind of are a little bit different, but all this are kind of much the same. This one doesn't play Thornton, but it plays 3-2 line. It's pretty spicy. But yeah, I think the deck is really good. Let's go up its matchups real quick. We don't look at the matchups of the last one either. But your Lost Zone box, 39%. Oh, that's spicy. That's not good. Lugia Archeops at 37. So maybe Lost Zone box is not the play at all. Gardevoir, 46. Oh, what is your high win besides these one-offs? You're Oinkalone. You're beating Oinkalone most of the time, right? You're beating Goodra. Makes sense. I think that's Goodra's worst matchup is probably this deck. And then after that, yeah. So probably going to EUIC, don't play. Man, I don't want to say it, but don't play this deck. It doesn't seem not winnable for you, unfortunately. Oh, that's kind of upsetting to say because that was one of my top picks. I'm still going to take Goodra. I think after looking at these stats, I think Goodra's the best play. But the big play right here is Lost Zone box. 446 have played this deck. Now the problem with that statistics is every Lost Zone box is probably going to be different. And just get ready for this. Let's look at the matchups real quick. You're 48 against a Mirror. You're actually losing to Lugia most of the time. So if you're scared of Lugia, there's probably some text we could put in here that we'll talk about here in a second. I didn't mean to click that. You're beating Maronon, you're beating Gardevoir, you're beating Giratina Lost Box. You're losing to Urshifu Teleon. Ooh, Urshifu Teleon comes out of nowhere and be spicy this weekend. That could be something we could see. Beating Lost Zone box, Lost Zone box Charizard just barely beat Mew. Losing to Goodra. So maybe, like I said, maybe Goodra is the play this weekend. But let's look at this one right here. Let's look at the image. and you're gonna see some interesting things. Like this one is a Cry of Destruction, probably to help out against maybe against Lugia. No, that doesn't make sense. I'm not really sure why that's in there. I don't know off the top of my head. Maybe because Dark Feather can do 100, but you don't play Dark Energies. Zapdos V is a cool card because you just like pick on like fighting weak Pokemon, which RC is being the increase. It's pretty cool. But the big one's gonna be Miraidon. Just be able to like glare at Zapdos and Miraidon for knockout. Plus Sky Stone to take an extra price card because you do take a knockout if it's attached to a basic Pokemon. And your opponent's active as a V-Star or V-Max is knocked out by your basic V. So that could be really cool. Maybe knock out a Regieleki V-Max or knock out a Lugia, not Lugia V-Star, an Arceus V-Star. So that's pretty cool. So we're going to be very quick with these decks just because we've kind of already seen them. So this is the Zapdos V variant. Let's look at the matches real quick. Only loss was the Giratina. And I bet that was just bad draws. Bad draws. Let's look at this one. First at 135. Can we open this correctly? Thank you, Josh. I did not do that right either. Oh my goodness. Okay, open as image. Here we go. We see this one is the Dragonite Raikou version. And I'm just going to keep all these open just so I can show you what the difference is here, right? So this one lost to Italian Urshifu. Makes sense. Seems like a bad matchup, right? Let's look at this one. First at 112. Let's open this one as an image. Okay, so this one's the Zac. Okay, so we got two of this one. Okay, interesting. Let's open up this one. Let's open up this image. Ooh, there's another one like this. So we got two with Hawlucha, one not. One playing Penny. You gotta flip through them real quick. You can start seeing stuff. This one plays that Forest Steel Stone. This one plays Forest. Now play Forest. Okay, so they're going heavy on Forest Steel Stone. What you're trying to do with this Dragonite deck is trying to get the turn 1 250, and you're just like taking huge knockouts, which is pretty cool to see. Like you're just trying to go the Dragon Gale. You got the good old like Lost Vacuums to get like a bunch of cards in the Lost set real quick. Plus Chorus. Plus Comfy, got Force Switch, Force Caper. No Switch. Do these play Switch? It doesn't look like it. Okay. But they all play Raikou and Dragonite. So that's a big thing there. Let's look at this one. It went undefeated with 11-0. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. Let's do this one. Sure. Open as image. Let's see what we got here. This one is a Kyogre variant with Zacian. Okay. Spicy. Matches. Ooh, it actually lost to Lugia in top 8. Maybe because you don't have the weakness with lightning like these other ones do. This one does not either. So that could be a big thing we need to conclude in our Lost Box decks. Let's go to this one because this is the other night, like literally last night at this point. And this one seems really cool. It's like you're just like playing the counter to everything, right? And I think this would be like one that I'd be kind of interested in. You're playing the Galarian Zapdos for Arceus and Meridian decks. You're playing the Raikou for Pikachu. Pikachu could it be Pikachu first of all because you can escape or plus boss, take a knockout. It could also beat the Lugia decks. If anything else is weak to lightning, Hawlucha can help take knockouts with the Kramik to hit to 120 if that does become relevant. Maybe because it could become relevant, right? There might be some 120 Pokemon out there. Lost Mind plus Hawlucha is 130, which could knock out like cards like Raiding or Ninja. That is food for thought too. This one does play a Snorlax. See this base Pokemon that can do 180, really strong. It's not the Turbo list that we see the other ones. No, I don't think you would call this a Turbo list. I think you'd call these the Turbo list because they are playing like the multiple. Not this one. This one here because they are playing the like all the Lost Vacuums. So I'm actually going to close out of this one because it's too many cards, too many different decks. But this one is definitely one I would like. Whew, what did it lose to? It lost to Meridian Regieleki and lost to Mewtwo Gardevoir. I think if you are playing Gardevoir this weekend, you definitely can play the Mewtwo build so you could beat the Lost Zone decks. I'm just saying. Let's go to bad date. Is there any other ones that we can see? There's one in April. Another one that's April 8th. It actually got First Way Home. What's this one? Man, hope I didn't open this one already. Let's see here. No, this is another different one. Wow, there's like... Okay, let's see this one. Did I already open this one? my brain is not working very correctly. Oh no, okay. Let's close this one. Alright. Second. Yes. Look at all these. First, second, fourth, and fifth. Let's open this one as image. Kyogre. So, Lost Zone box, man. There's so many different ways to play it. You look at the matchups, and it's hard to see the matchups because like every list is different, right? So let's look at all these different ones real quick. So you get the Kyogre build with the Dragonite plus Raikou. Kyogre's going to do Aqua Storm, get a bunch of energies on your, a bunch of damage on your opponent's bench Pokemon. Dragonite quick knockout. Raikou for the weakness, right? Sky Steel Stones, you take extra prize cards. Philosoph Stone, try to get that turn one set up. And the Chew Trekking Shoes. There's this variant, which is like the Lost Box V build, which is pretty neat. You just different matches, different attackers, right? Here for weakness, all that kind of fun stuff. Did play Arvin that we didn't talk about, but did play Arvin. That's a pretty interesting card that we haven't seen. But this is the problem I always have playing Lost Box decks, like 3-2-2-2. Like there ain't no way I can remember that stuff. You're playing this metal variant one with Zacian and Zamazenta. What does Zacian do? This act does 10 more damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon. 20 plus 10. Interesting. I wonder why that card is in here. I actually kind of want to second Zamazenta, unless there's another thing I'm missing. If I am, let me know down below. But Zamazenta does 100 if Pokemon's knocked out. You do 120 more damage. If you have energy attached, you take 30 less damage. I think it's just a good attacker. Which is pretty cool. It only needs one metal, so maybe that's the difference. But I don't know what's weak to metal in this format. That's the only thing. We have this build, which we saw multiple times with the Dragonite Raikou. Just trying to get set up very, very quickly. The difference between this one and this one is this one does not play Kyogre, while this one does. So there's a big thing there between those two. We do have this build, which... Well, we already talked about this one. Okay, this one played Hallelujah, this one didn't. So this one didn't play Hallelujah, this one did. So I don't know the difference in the Hallelujah math. I'm sure somebody can like tell me the numbers. I don't personally know the numbers. Don't quote me on that. And then the other one is a Zapdos Drapion Evital build. So there's so many things on Lost Box going on that it's hard to keep up. But I think if I'm going to Lost Box this weekend or play Lost Box, I'll play the Goodra build. I think that's probably the best variant. I think Lost Box has a big target on its back going into here. I mean, we already see decks coming out of like the tournaments right now that have big targets on the Lost Zone box, right? You have the Garden Mewtwo that has been developed to take down these Lost Box decks. You have the Tailor Urshifu, which is meant to beat these Lost Box decks. And so like these two decks by itself are just like they're just made to take down the Lost Zone decks, and that's even online. So you know going into EUIC. Like, if you look at the online stats, Lost Zone Box, #1 deck. So if you're going to this weekend and you're playing Lost Zone Box, I would say play the Goodra build. But that's just me. And if I wasn't playing the Goodra build, I would play this variant here. I do like this a lot with the Zapdos, the Raikou, the Clear to get stuff back. You're just taking knockouts, trying to just outpace your opponent, outbeat them, and stuff like that. Sableye to pick up Pokemon. So I think this is the best variant, the V variant. And I think this is probably the best version of Lost Box. Going into this weekend, if you're playing like just a standard Lost Box Sableye build, but if you're not playing this, I definitely would advocate for the Goodra build, because I think it does help in most of the matchups, except for the regular Lost Box matchup. Seems like that one is probably your worst, right? Once again, Goodra's worst matchup is the Lost Zone box, but it will have a big counter on its back, so we'll have to see how that kind of works out. But there we go. There's a rough breakdown of the Lost Box decks. I didn't have anybody talk with me, like I said, because we're kind of just all over the place. I could have maybe made it like to 5 or 6 videos, because we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Where is that? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 different variants, and inside this Lost Box itself, there's like 3 different variants. So I could have made like 7, 8 videos on Lost Box by itself. But what's the best partner? That's what you have to figure out this weekend if you're going to EUIC. If I was making my predictions, I do think the V build or the Goodra build is the way to go. So guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something new about Lost Box. If you have any kind of tips, tricks for Lost Box, let me know. What build do you think you're going to win? All that kind of fun stuff. It'd be cool to see what people think. But yeah, we'll see you tomorrow for another video. Hit that subscribe button. Alrighty, bye.